Hello YouTube, VG Time back with another deck profile. This time is for the Dr. Uiro and Dr. Kochen leader. This leader right here in the deck that I'm displaying to you was originally my boy Gerard's. He asked me to tune it up for him because he was having issues dialing it into a singular strategy that leads to it winning. When you look at the leader, you can see why it was kind of hard to do so, because it does a lot of different interesting things. And this is going to be a little bit more detailed than most of my deck profiles because the cards are not cards that are commonly seen. If you do only want to see the deck laid out, do follow me on Instagram. I'll have a picture of the deck over there. So starting off with, we have the Dr. Uiro and Dr. Kochen leader. It has an auto that when it comes into play, you start with the field extra card, Dr. Uiro's Lab, which is right here. Now, he has another auto that when he attacks the leader card, top 5 cards of your deck, and add a Frenzied Warrior from among them to your hand. The issue with that is that most of the Frenzied Warriors are not really that good. Now, his Waking condition requires him to be at 3 or less life or 4 more energy in order to untap 2 cards. I personally do not like the 3 or less life requirement. Usually when you have 3 or less life as a Awakening condition, you get to draw cards and untap energy, usually in the multiple, like either a card untap 2 or draw 2 untap 1. Or even in the case of the baby leader, you draw 2 untap 2. If he did one of those things, then I could see going to 3 or less life to activate his ability. So we want to really focus on getting to the 4 or more energy. On the back side, we have Dr. Uiro, the evil scientist. He has a generic leader auto. When he attacks, you draw a card. And he has 2 activate mains, one of which is to, there's a once per turn where you can discard a card from your hand to negate the skill on your opponent battle card. So you get to choose a keyword, negate that skill, which is important for things such as barrier, indestructible, and whatnot, to be able to remove those cards from the table. And then lastly, we have the activate main, that's the auto win condition, that if you have 17 or more cards underneath the Dr. Uiro's Lab, you're able to just win the game outright. This deck is focused upon getting him to this backside as quickly as possible, as well as getting to this win condition. And in order to do so, I'm playing a more defensive and destruction variant of the deck. As I mentioned before, not running that many Frenzied Warriors, so we're not swinging at all on the front side. So let's start with the quote-unquote boss card, which is Dr. Uiro's Lab. This is your field extra card. It has a permanent that your battle cards cannot be switched to rest mode, and that your lab cannot have cards added underneath it unless it's by a blue or green card effect. And then it has another permanent that your opponent's skills cannot remove this card from the table. That's very important because this thing costs 6, so you don't really want to run multiple of them in your deck. So it protects itself, which is amazing. And then it has an activate main where you can pay 2 to choose one of your opponent's battle cards with cost 4 or less and put it underneath this card. The other reason why getting on the backside is important is because if they do play a barrier threat or a threat when indestructible, the ability to choose those abilities on an opponent's battle card and then suck it up with the lab is very strong. Now, per the lab's requirements, this deck is blue-green. So we're going to start off with the boring card first, which is 3 copies of Android 17 Protector of Wildlife. He's just there as a chargeable blue-green energy that ignores energy exhaust. But the main card you want to open in your hand, besides just a generic blue-green card, is this guy right here, Android 16 Energy Amplification. You want to get to 4 energy as quickly as possible, and this is a guy that's going to help you do it. If you do not open them in your hand, you kind of have to hard mulligan for him and hope that you get there. If not, then you're going to be in for a little bit of a time. You still have a draw 2 to get to him, and hopefully, you're fortunate enough to be able to do that. But you want to have this card in your hand within the first 2 turns. Next up, we have a blocker package. If you happen to not be able to get this guy on turn 2, the card you want to play on turn 2 is one of our 3 copies of Madness 1 Dr. Kochen. This guy right here is a blocker with Revive Blue-Green and has an auto that when you play him, you can take a card from your hand, put it underneath the lab, and then draw a card. Having Revive and that auto means that when you block with him, he dies and you activate the Revive, you get to activate that auto again, which helps to promote the automatic win condition. Next up, we have 3 of what I think is the best card in the deck right now, which is 3 Gigantic Bomber Dr. Uiro. This guy has a blocker as well. He's Revive Blue-Green, and he has an auto that when he comes into play, you get to choose up to 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop area and put it underneath the lab. That's pretty important right now because people are using Goku Apes, the Ribrianne in the drop area, the Master Roshi, the Universe 3 pieces, and the ability to take this card and remove those cards from the drop area hinders your opponent's strategy down the road. And again, he's a blocker with Revive, so when they kill it, you can still bring it back and do that same effect again. Next, to finish off the Dr. Uiros, we have 3 copies of Dr. Uiro Destruction Beam. He is also a blocker, but he does not have a Revive because he's mono blue. He has a Deflect though, which is very important because his ability is required to go off in order for you to have a chance of winning. He has an auto that when you play him, you get to take the 6 cards from the top of your deck or 6 cards from your drop area and put it underneath the lab. That greatly accelerates you towards the 17 cards you need in order for you to be able to win the game. Also, the reason why Android 16 is important on turn 2 is that you get to play this guy on turn 5 because you'll be at 6 energy by turn 5. That means that you can play him on 5, have this great blocker that has a secondary auto where when he blocks he restands, so he stops 2 attacks, and then follow it up possibly with a second one, and at that point you should be winning the game. Next up, we have 2 copies of Moscow Campari Universe 3 Destroy an Angel. This guy is here to deal with the stuff that the lab cannot. The lab deals with everything that's 4 or less. Moscow Campari deals with the larger threats. It is also a blocker with Revive Blue-Green, so he plays along with the theme of his deck. And he has an auto that when your opponent plays a battle card, you can KO him and draw a card, which would then of course trigger his Revive, which allows him to come back and pop a battle card. So the stuff that is small, the lab deals with. The stuff that is big, Moscow Campari deals with, which will allow you to keep the board size at a manageable rate while you are blocking them off with these smaller blockers. The issue with Revive though as a strategy is that other than that Goku leader that was built for it, Revive is fairly neg to your hand. So to help you to be able to at least gain parity where you're not losing so many cards when you're reviving, we played 3 copies of Masterful Technique Newwst. He has an effect that happens once per turn, that if a green battle cards enter into the play area from the drop area other than itself, you get to draw 1 card. He's basically a walking Frieza's Army healing pod, if you know what that card is, except you could play multiple of them. If you are able to play multiple of them and your opponent can't remove them, then you get to start plussing from Revive costs. Another card that helps you as far as dealing with Revive costs is 3 copies of Dr. Uiro's Cybernetic Rebirth. He's also a blocker. He's blue-green, so he pays for the entire cost of the Revive. And when you discard him to the drop area to pay the cost of Revive, he comes into play. So not only does he make it so that you get a free guy by discarding him, if you happen to have a Whis out there, you then get to draw a card, which makes him extra plus. Now next we're going to go into our hand control package. We start off with the only Frenzy Warrior that we play in the deck, which is 3 copies of Frenzy Warrior Piccolo. He has Deflect as well, because again his effect is fairly key to get off to help you with your hand destruction strategy. He has Bond 3, so you have to have 2 other guys out there when you play him, which is easy to do with this revive based strategy. And what he does is he takes 2 cards from your opponent's hand and put them underneath the lab. Your opponent gets to choose the card, but still it's very strong as far as hand destruction and helping you towards your win condition. Because we are primarily green deck, all our energy should be green if we're charging correctly. We also play Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehameha. This allows us to defend ourselves as well as strip cards away from our opponent. And in a similar vein, our super combo of choice is 4 copies of Android 18 Bionic Blitz. This also allows us to defend ourselves as well as strip cards away from our opponent. Now we do run counterplays in this deck, and the counterplays I chose work along with the hand destruction element. So we are playing 3 copies of Vegeta the Cruel. If you don't know what he does, when you play him on your opponent's turn, you get to KO a battle card 4 or less, as well as make your opponent warp 1 card from their hand. So he helps manage board size as well as go towards hand destruction strategy. And then we play 2 copies of the highly underrated Hidden Power of the Sands. This card is able to negate the play of any battle card, but your opponent has a choice to discard 2 cards to be able to still play the battle card. In this deck, you're more so caring about making them discard 2 cards because, again, this is a hand destruction deck. But when you get to the part where they actually are trying to play the larger threats, there's a good chance they're not able to because they won't have the extra 2 cards in their hand to discard to be able to play the card. Or they might not be willing to discard those 2 cards to play the card. So either way, you're getting what you want from the card. Then lastly, we have our basic defensive packages of 4 Senzu Bean. We are playing some blue because we're blue-green, so you might as well take advantage of it. It also helps us to keep energy up on defense. And then for a negate, we're playing 2 copies of Whis Coercion. This is because we do run quite a large amount of blockers, so we don't need a lot of negates, but when we do need a negate, we do have it in the deck. You could bump this up to 4, but I chose to use the last 2 slots for the Rise of Dr. Willow. This allows us to look at the top 5 cards in our deck for a Dr. Willow or Dr. Kochen and add it to our hand. And if we do, we untap a green energy. So it's a free search, assuming that you're able to hit with the search. And if you do it and you hit with it, you can still play that card that you wanted to play on that turn. So that's it for the deck profile. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want the latest updates on what's going on with the channel, follow me on Instagram at the name below. Thank you again. VG Time out.